Hey guys, Justin Nelson here with another episode of the Icon podcast, and we have another fantastic guest, a name I've known about for a little over a year now, but we've never actually connected until about 2 minutes ago. So Steve, I just want to say welcome to the podcast. I know you got a team. I know you got a significant other that's probably your better half that I know you're going to talk about, but I appreciate you jumping on today with us.
Love it, man. I'm excited to get to connect with you here today, and I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, man. Well, if you guys are just listening to the Icon podcast for the very first time, it's pretty straightforward. We're just interviewing all of EXP's Icon agents. We'll dive in a little bit more about what the Icon Agent Award looks like, some of its benefits, especially if you guys are just tuning in to listen to Steve. Maybe you guys are, looking at joining their organization and you're like, what is their Icon journey? What does Icon mean? I've never heard of it. We're going to go through all those things today. So if you guys aren't aware, there's usually about 1 to 2% of the EXP population that end up iconing each and every year. So obviously as the company grows, so does the base of Icon agents. And Steve, I just want to ask you right off the bat, I know people listening here, they might not have a lot of time, so we're going to try to keep this brief, is number one is kind of how did you become an agent? How did you and your wife become agents? Like what's kind of your story of getting into the real estate game?
Short story of it is Kelly and I, before we met and got married, both of us were going to real estate school to get our license as investors. We wanted to be in front of deals first. The internet said that we could buy lots of properties with zero money, and we bought into that. And then we found out that it's not actually true, that we actually did need some money. So we sold a few houses, absolutely loved it. And that began our real estate journey.
I love it, man. I love it. And where exactly are you at in California? I know we were talking about it on before you jumped on here, but where exactly, so people know, where are you located at?
Yeah, we are in Yuba City, California. It's a small little town north of Sacramento,
Okay.
Mostly a farming community.
Okay, perfect. So, and you said that obviously you guys are both getting licensed. Was EXP your guys' first stop, or what's kind of that real estate journey look like for you guys there?
What is EXP? We never heard of it back then. I wish I did, but no, we went Coldwell Banker.
Okay.
My internet search at that time said they had the best training, and then we went to Intero for training, and then we went to a boutique, and then my buddy Albie Stasic in Cleveland had shut down his brokerage and went to EXP, which did not make sense to me. Why would you be 100% and then go to EXP? So I called him, sat on the side of the road for an hour and a half talking to him.
I love that. So you're obviously running a big business, Albie, who's also running a big business. Like for everybody, all brokerages obviously have pros and cons. EXP is not for everybody, but EXP is for a lot of people. Like for you specifically in your guys' team structure, you guys probably could have went and started your own independent. You could have went and joined, a KW or Remax if you were looking for a new opportunity. Like what was it about EXP specifically that you're like, you know what, that model makes sense for us? Even if it's not your favorite thing about EXP today, like what was it at the time that you're kind of like, that's where we need to be?
Well, what drew me to EXP and what keeps me here is two different things. So, for me, I heard about an opportunity of having rev share and ownership in the company, and I thought, oh, that's going to be huge, to have something that I could exit this business with, because when somebody had presented their boutique to me to buy, there was no math behind it, and she had spent years building the business, and it didn't make any sense at all for me to pay her what she wanted for that business, because she was the business. So but what kept me here was connecting with Justin Nelson. All the superstars of EXP were also connected, helping each other grow. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in this industry.
I love that. So you came for some math reasons, some financial reasons, and then of course everything else was kind of just like an added benefit for you once you got there. I love that, man. I love that. So did anyone, you said you wish you would have heard about it earlier, right? And, you obviously joined pretty early on versus a lot of people, but did you ever hear about EXP, or how'd you get approached by it? I know you said Albie moved, and was that the only experience that you had with EXP? Because I know a lot of people listening here, you may have reached out to them, they may have talked to you before and you were their first experience with EXP, or maybe they had talked to someone else about EXP and it just didn't end up being a good experience, and it didn't sound right for them. So talk to me a little bit about where did you first hear about EXP, or was it just kind of, that was your first experience?
So there was an EXP agent in town that was spewing EXP all over everybody, and it was a total turnoff to the community of agents. I was never approached personally. So if you're at EXP, you should probably talk to the people that you know, because some of them will come, because of math, basically.
Yeah. No, I love that, man. I love that. So basically, what I'm hearing you say is like you hadn't been approached, you saw the opportunity, and for you, it just made so much sense. You're like, yeah, I don't even have to think that much about it. We're ready to go.
Yeah, 100%. Yep. In fact, it was so what Albie was telling me about EXP couldn't have been true. As far as I said, no, I don't, that sounds impossible. How could they afford to give me that much money, and all those things. So really, the only reason I wouldn't have came, I'm glad I did, but I almost thought it's too good to be true.
I love that. I love that. So one of the questions I usually ask is what is the Icon Award? Like, it seems like a crazy question for me to ask, like on the Icon podcast, where every episode we, list this out, but someone may be listening just to your episode or just found your episode. So I would love in your own words to kind of explain what is the Icon Award? Obviously for those that may not be at that production level yet, it's obviously something to shoot for. So talk to me a little bit about, number one, what the Icon Award is, kind of how you guys achieved it. Like, what was your main method of business of achieving it? What are your guys' numbers? And then number two, I would love for you to kind of talk about not only what was the award and how did you get it, but ultimately how much money has that made you and your family over the last few years? Because I know it's more than just the $16,000 worth of cap you paid in. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that, because I saw you shared on Facebook, I think the other day,
Yep.
some of the numbers.
So first of all, this is going to start off with it's too good to be true, because it is, but it is. So the Icon Award in my market is when you hit your cap, which you usually hit our cap in a month or so, and then you sell an additional 20 houses or so. Probably not true for our Bay Area friends. They probably need to sell one house, because their price point's much higher. But when you achieve that, you sell your cap and 20 more houses in my market, you get what's called the Icon Award. The Icon Award, you still get the little trophy you get at the other brokerages. So you still have something for your ego behind you on your desk. But the company also awards you $16,000 worth of stock, which is essentially your entire cap back. So it zeroes you out. But the problem with that $16,000 is this is the fastest growing company or brokerage in the world. That 16,000 that I achieved on my first of 4 Icon Awards is now worth over 150,000. A little bit more today because the stock just shot up this morning. But I've seen friends here cash out and a portion of it and buy ranches in Montana, buy little planes and cars, and it is just amazing. But it is true. I will tell you, it really happens.
No, I love that. And I love that one of your 16,000s turned into 150,000 plus and different things like that. And I think what's kind of key here for people to understand is even if the stock hadn't gone up, like even if it was still worth 16,000, I mean, you've iconed how many times now, or about to icon? 4 times. Like, I'm not great at math, but I'm pretty sure that's nearly 64,000. Even if the stock doesn't grow, doesn't do anything. Like, I don't know about you, but I was at KW for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and I had 64,000 more than I would have ever have had for being an Icon agent at KW. So I kind of love, just how you presented that. Of even if the stock hadn't gone up, you would still be way ahead of where you were.
Totally, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it with KW where you were or in Tarot, like great companies, but they just the way they're structured, they can't offer you that and still grow and be successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, with that being said, obviously there's a lot of pieces of EXP as an Icon agent. Obviously, as an Icon agent, you sell a ton of homes. So you make a good amount of money that way. And there's obviously revenue share and different things like that. Like for you, like what is kind of your focus going into 21 now that we're in 2022? Like where do you spend a majority of your time? Is it serving those within your EXP organization? Is it trying to sell more homes? Is it both at the same time? Like how do you and Kelly kind of split up those duties? And kind of how was that run?
You got great questions, man. It really, if somebody's watching this, they're going to really get to see what this company is about. So thank you for that. But so our focus has changed. Obviously, there's that rat race of selling houses, making a lot of money, buying cool stuff, and then having to do it over again next week, right? So we are dividing now a little bit. Kelly's going to still hold down production for us because that's what she loves. She loves to sell houses. I love pouring into the agents, training, coaching, teaching. Growing our organization, everything is really fun for me. So I'm mainly now, not entirely, I still help her in real estate and she still helps me with training, but that's my focus. And then we're going to dial back the production numbers. We're going to sell less houses and then go back up to the higher end instead of focusing on the higher turnover areas.
I love that. I love that. I think what I've heard you say too is like every agent wants to sell more homes, and I think we always see that. At the end of the day, 100 homes, 500 homes, 1,000 homes. I heard someone say the other day at an event, if you sell 2,000 homes a year, that's great, but then next year you're still back at ground zero when you start January 1st. Like you still have to go sell another 2,000 homes, and there's really at the baseline no recurring income in real estate as a real estate agent until EXP came along.
No retirement parties for us, man. You're back to the grind every day.
No retirement parties. I absolutely love that. I saw that in a Facebook group the other day, and I was like, well, that's genius. Why is there no retirement party? We're not celebrating pensions. We're not celebrating any of those things because they just don't exist until EXP came along.
Just funerals.
Yeah, just funerals. I love that, man. I love that. So I have to ask you, like, obviously with big goals, you guys have a big revenue share organization that you guys are growing. Like, what are some of the values that you guys give to your organization, like as far as pouring in and mentorship? And you guys have a strong line above you that also pours into your people. So if you got people listening right now that are like, you know what, Steve, if I'm thinking about joining your guys' organization, like what are you going to do for me that, the traditional brokerage won't, right? Because everybody's got contracts. We all got softwares. We all have some sort of technology, but ultimately people are going to align with you for a little bit of what you have to offer. So like, what are some of the things you're doing with your organization to make sure that they grow and the people around you are doing to help make sure your people grow?
I'm just simply riding on the back of giants. So like God had blessed me with this beautiful alignment with agents. So I have Jay Kender, Michael Reese, Albie Stasic, Cliff Freeman, Brent Gove. I've got these beasts aligned with me that they almost shove training and everything down your throat. I never get through all the value that they've offered me. So if I need, one of my agents asked me, hey, what's the best way to do postcards? Somebody's mastered that in our group, and they'll show you step by step how to do it. So all I simply do is gather the information, package it, and then help the agents explore it, go through it, learn it, implement it, and then help hold them accountable to their own goals that they're trying to achieve. And so we have weekly trainings. We're on the phones with them, sometimes more than we should be, but when they need help at 9:00 at night, who do they got? The broker's office is closed. We got a great brokers team in California, but sometimes real estate happens after hours. So we're there to help them get through everything they need.
I love that. I love that. And what I love about it is everybody you just named, I pretty well could guarantee you could pick up their cell phone and they would call you back within 24 hours, which I think is a massive success. Like I couldn't even get my, a lot of times my team leads or my, broker in charge to even give me a call back, let alone the people you just talked about that all make over $1 million a year. I mean, I'm assuming all well north of $1 million by far. And so, I don't know about you, but that's one thing I've loved about being at EXP, because my line similar to yours is I can literally pick up the phone and call millionaires to help me with my problems. And not that my old team leads and different things like that were any less valued because they weren't millionaires, but there's just a different level of your top 5 that people can get to when they're connected with you.
Absolutely. Who you're aligned with really matters. And you're fortunate to have a great line, and so am I. But the fact that, like you said, you can just pick up the phone and call somebody that has not only been through your struggle, but have mastered how to fix it fast. There's nothing better. And these guys have just been a huge blessing in our life. Wonderful humans.
I love that. I love that. Now, one thing I kind of want to do as we wrap up here, one of the last questions I always ask people, and you kind of hit on it earlier, you talked about the award, if you got an ego and you still want that little bit of ego stroke, because even though we all try to say we're egoless, we all do have a little bit of ego, right? I always heard people say, if you're the best baseball player in the world, like, know that you're the best baseball player in the world. Like there's okay to have a little bit of ego. And so for people out there that right now that might have a little too much ego and they're like, you know what, I'm not even going to look at EXP, Steve. Like it's not even worth my time. What I have going at my 100% commission brokerage is you'll never beat it. Like, I don't want to start over. Like, you're just going to sell me some multi-level marketing scheme. Like, what would you tell them? Like, because obviously I think we've all been in that spot, right? Like, even if you hadn't have been approached, like you hadn't been approached by that one person in your market until Albie did it. And so you probably had some preconceived thoughts in your mind about what EXP was. So like, what would you tell that person that's right now, like a hard no? Like, what would you tell them to try and just get them to be open-minded, whether it's even about EXP or just about another company, if they feel like they need to make a move and they're considering options right now?
Sure, great question. If you're not radically open-minded, you're costing yourself huge opportunity. But if ego is your go-to, then use that, because if you're at 100% brokerage, I'll tell you right now, you're worth more than that. I could no longer work for 100%. I'm paid to be over here, and I love that. So increase your value. If your ego is important to you and you're the hot shot, then look at EXP, where agents are actually being paid for their connections and their real estate sales abilities.
I love that. And it's one thing I think a lot of people don't think about is if you were to look at the profit and loss statements of everybody in your line, your profit and loss statement, you're actually not at 100% brokerage. You're at 105%, 120%. And some of the names I know that you just named are at 300, 400, 500% in terms of, if not more, of what they're making. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is that it's reality, right?
Yeah.
It actually exists.
It does somehow. Thank you, Glenn.
I love it. I love it, man. Well, few things for us here. I know some people listening here, they might be like, Steve, I align with your energy, or they know Kelly, and they're like, how do we align with you guys? And I know people align with you from across the country, whether they're in California or across so many different states. Like, what's the best way that people can reach out to you other than all the information we'll have plastered all over the podcast after this?
Yeah, I got my calendar opened up for agents that need help. You don't have to go to EXP to explore it. You can find out about it there, or if you need help in your business, that's my passion. That's what I love to do. And it's at www.stevemccarthy.work. And you can jump on my calendar and just pick your time that's convenient for you, or you reach out to me on social media or whatever, and I'd love to help you.
I love it. I love it, man. Well, make sure you guys reach out to Steve if you guys are looking for someone to join at EXP, an absolute great organization. And if you guys are listening to this again, make sure you guys watch our other episodes as well, because you're literally learning from the top 1% at EXP. So, Steve, I appreciate you jumping on with us here, man. And tell Kelly I say hi. And, man, I can only imagine how many homes she's out there fighting for right now for the buyers and sellers.
It's fun. Jess, I really appreciate you having me on. It's great to connect with you. Hopefully you're in St. Thomas or Dallas next, and we can connect. I could buy you some dinner or something.
Absolutely. If you guys are listening here and you wanted to go to an event in Dallas, I will be there as well. If Steve, sounds like you guys might be there as well. So yes. We will see everybody there. So with that being said, guys, thanks for coming on the Icon Podcast. Steve and Kelly's information is listed all around the videos, no matter what platform you guys are watching us on. And Steve, thanks again, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.
Thanks again.